his alarm, Reynardo realized that the rebels had no way of knowing he had a powerful new weapon. He might set off on their attack on the fleet before he could bring the Sky Ripper to the fight. He had to hurry, while there were still rebels to save. Hey! Hey! I'm a Firefox, thought Reynardo. Open, says me. Calaveras examined the Sky Ripper eagerly.
What? How often does a new relic surface?
He brushed off Zenobia's warning.
Oh, what do sorceresses know about physics?
However, he did know a few ways to make the weapon even more precise and more powerful, and quickly went off to tinker. Soon the Sky Ripper no longer whined, but thrummed like a hummingbird taking off. It was ready for war. And so, Reynardo thanked Calaveras and took the legendary weapon to the final battle. But where were the other rebel ships? Had something happened? He could defeat the Imperial fleet with a Sky Ripper, but he couldn't govern. He was not cut out to be Emperor, and he'd no desire to be one. There were a few rebel ships here and there, but there was no organization to the battle. Where was the Council flagship? Something had gone terribly wrong. But he had the Sky Ripper, and the Ravens had nowhere they could hide. Sometimes, at home, he'd wave his sword around for hours. Once you try it, you're hooked. Reynardo had always wanted a flying carpet. This was more like a flying tabletop, but it would do. Council speaker was on the deck, bleeding. Why was she even here? They found our base, she croaked. The council, all dead. We must surrender. No, we can still win this, said Reynardo. I have the Sky Ripper. He would be a real hero and save the day, even when all appeared to be lost. You're a good boy, said the speaker, and then she died. fired at the Sky Ripper. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames. And for good measure, he played the beam around it, setting all the other nearby Imperial ships on fire too. And he watched them burn. The few remaining rebels gave a cheer. And then they stopped cheering. There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger. Crates were falling off ship decks, upwards into the hole. And the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror as it poured into the ravenous hole. He guessed that somewhere behind that ever-widening hole were gods that had long been exiled. But it didn't really matter. Time was done for here, and soon it was. Reynardo stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar. Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that. But he had made different choices. And he'd lost in a different way. It was the book, wasn't it? Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he'd learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly. But that meant there must be a destiny where he survived and won, right? Otherwise, what was the point? And with that, the book's pages fluttered back once more to the beginning, and the clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game-changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis Stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? I need more materials, thought Reynardo. Renato distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? Wave his sword around at home. He guessed he was still compensated for that. Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. I guess now I find out what's next, he thought. God, it's full of stars. Poor Renato loved to improve his gear. What were these poles, exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough. Should have died a pirate, he thought. As for the gate, well, he could take her or leave her. Sorry, it's best I could do. The Ravens, at least, could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Sometimes, all you know is what you know. You know? This couldn't be good for global warming. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager. Thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Reynardo wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "Not the core," said the stone anxiously. "Leave me dead. I will give you the power to do what you want." Why was he listening to a talking rock? But the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself. To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies. As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Reynardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun. Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Hey, what do ravens say when they die? Never mind. I'll wait. The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to? But he couldn't think about that, could he? Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him. What's there?
That is a very cool sword, thought Renaro. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger. Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word. Hey! Hey, a workbench! He could try out his new bling.
Finally, Reynardo caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out again. Reynardo felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such radiance, exulted the Iblis stone.
Reynardo returns to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly.
It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done. The Nexus was beautiful. He'd never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. Black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke, under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost, challenging the Emperor from there.
Reynardo wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs. He once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. What was his name again?
Up ahead was Lapino. What was he doing here? Reynardo! Hey, buddy! Hey there, old buddy! Please don't kill me! Why would I kill you? Asked Reynardo, although he had been thinking about it. Well, you've become... look, I mean, no disrespect at all here. Kind of evil? Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep? I suppose you wanted, Reynardo said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis. Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it.
go to the outpost, use their far speaker, tell the Emperor what he'd done, and then he'd go to the secret rebel base. Let them know he was ready to lead them to victory.
Reynardo rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment, he remembered not to kill the far speaker toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his far speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino. Demanded the Iblistone. I need to think, Reynardo told it. You're not good at thinking, said the Iblistone. You're good at killing. It's what you do. It's your destiny. But he set sail for the mountains, where he could be alone with his thoughts. Why were there Raven Scouts here in the empty mountains? Was there nowhere he could find peace and quiet? There were other ravens here too. Shadowy ones, transparent, lining the path. Ghosts. They cawed as he passed, but they didn't try to stop him. Spectators. Had he really killed that many ravens? Whee! Reynardo was remembering all his old tricks, and some new ones. Now, he really ought to ask for a raise. Then he saw her, Zenobia. She was a ghost too. She ran off when she saw him. How could a ghost be afraid? He followed her. He had to. Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool. This chest made music when you opened it. Too bad it was Muzak. Renato followed Zenobia's ghost. Had he gone mad, seeing ghosts? Was she running from him or leading him somewhere? He'd come here to be alone, but he'd never been less alone in his life. Every raven he had slain haunted these rocks. Was this who he was? Killer. He wasn't terribly good at killing. He was an adventurer. Or was that just another word for killer? Whisper the stone. This was much easier than free climbing.
Renato's checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
Sweet. You could use this material to craft a spork. Or a sword.
He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak. Smashing things was fun. Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention. Wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. He really needed to construct additional pylons. He tried to focus on the job he had to do. The rebellion. Wasn't there a battle coming soon? Would there be ravens to kill? Even an emperor? Such killing. Much wow. Ooh, he'd never been so excited. At the end of the mountain path, Zenobia awaited him. "Why did you kill me?" she said. "I was your prisoner, and I loved you." "I needed the power," he said. "Haven't you heard? There's a war on." "Then what's your excuse for killing me?" asked his old friend Lapino, stepping out of the shadows. "Because a filthy traitor?" said Renato. For once, Lapino didn't reply. The demon has twisted you," said Zenobia. "Abandon the stone. You've lost too much already." Her words bit deeper than any sword ever had. So he shook his head, and once again swung his blade through her and Lapino. It had to all mean something. If he gave up the stone now, he would have sacrificed Zenobia and Lapino for nothing. So, Renato set course for the Imperial fleet, where he would end it all. The Emperor, the war, the madness. Bernardo boarded an Imperial ship. No one could stop him slashing his way towards the Emperor. Yes, that was right. To give up now would be to lose everything for nothing. But if he could liberate the land from the Mad Emperor, then he could give up the stone in peace. And those were absolutely his own thoughts, not the stone manipulating him, right?
Oh, yes, exulted the stone. Feel your power. We'll make history today.
He could hear a tiny voice within him.
Don't kill the Emperor. The stone will eat your soul.
Was it madness?
I have to kill the Emperor, he told himself. That's what it meant to be a hero. To do what had to be done, no matter how terrible the cost. Yes. And then you can have peace. Promised the stone.
What could he craft with the materials he had? Bernardo had a pretty good idea, actually. Of all the artisans he was creating employment for. Truly, he was a job creator. Surprisingly unwounded. Imagine if you built a house of one of these things. Oh, that would be amazing. It would be like having a boat.
The tiny voice, whatever it was silent. He couldn't see ghosts around him. He could feel them. If he gave up now, they would be angry. They would have all died for nothing. Who could give up this kind of power? Could anyone? Oh, he was just a fox with a talent for swordplay. How had this burden come to him? The Emperor offered the sword. Then peace. Yes, peace. That is what he wanted now.
Look down, he thought.
The Emperor was cowering in front of his ship.
Please don't kill me.
Croaked Emperor Isengrim III.
Here, take the crown. I don't want it anymore.
You must kill him, or you have his troops. He will send us
Please, have mercy. The rebellion is won. Or you could be emperor. I'll just go be a scientist, or minstrel, or sell gummy bears. Yeah, I promise not to bother you.
It's your moment.
With all the love he'd ever had for Zenobia, for Lupino, for the Kit Foxes he would never have, Reynardo raised his sword. And Reynardo plunged his sword into his own chest.
Wait. What?
Reynardo screamed as his life force ebbed into the stone and surged back into him, and ebbed out and surged back in. No! Screamed the stone. It began to heat up.
What have you done?
The stone began to glow. It became white hot. It became lava. Nice knowing you, said Reynardo, as the lava ran like butter. And he died. And, just like that, he was alive again, and back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal. It took you to the future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it. But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose.